Hello, my friends. Chappell Roan is in a bit of controversy right now due to the way she seems to treat her fans. This was actually brought to my attention by my daughter because Chappell Roan is on the short list of artists that we listen to on a regular basis when we're in the car together. So it was a little disappointing to hear that she might be treating people pretty poorly. So I decided to kind of look into it, and we're going to look at several different instances. And for the most part, I understand where she's coming from, but sometimes maybe she doesn't handle it in a great way. But there's one big story that blew up where supposedly she made a little girl cry. So let's look at this whole thing. It's got a lot of twists and turns, and it's a little more complicated than it might seem on the surface. And some people are actually calling this a targeted smear campaign, so we will get into that too. But yeah, let's just take a look at the whole situation. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. So from what I can tell, the whole controversy really started with this video from Paris Fashion Week.
I'm just trying to go to dinner, and I've asked these people several times to get away from me.
Please step to the side. Step to the side.
This person I've asked several times to go away, and they will not. They're hiding their face because they're ashamed. Because I've asked them. These are all the people that are
Can you sign in, Chappell?
completely disregarding all of my
My first time to
boundaries.
see you, Chappell. It's my
So
first time
this
to see you.
is, then go away.
Happy to see you.
So all of you, I'm
Love you
asking
too.
you kindly to please leave me alone
Yes.
and
Yeah,
stop
sure. Yes.
following me
Can you
and
give her
harassing
something
me.
nice?
Can
Then
you
we go
just sign in,
home.
Thank
Chappell?
you.
What are you wearing?
No, I'm not gonna sign.
Not
Thank you
sign.
so
Okay,
much.
Chappell,
So
no
this
problem.
is
You
what
have your
it's
choice,
like,
yeah.
If you're wondering how it is.
And what are you wearing?
It's
Thank you.
So to start off with, there is a whole conversation that can be had about whether or not celebrities owe their fans autographs and things like that in public. And I don't think they do, right? They don't have to give you autographs. They don't have to acknowledge you in public or anything like that. However, on the flip side of that, she didn't become famous by accident. When she was growing up, she would actually go to what is called Grammy Camp. And when I say Grammy Camp, I mean literally the Grammys they put on this camp. And it's a really expensive like music camp that you would go to. And it's basically a way for like really wealthy people to sort of buy their kids' way into the industry.
In New York City, I went to Grammy Camp, worked with some really amazing, talented kids.
A few moments later.
The Grammys. The fucking talent show for rich people. I hope they hear this.
Thank you to my fellow nominees, and above all, my Papa Chappell, who I named myself after.
And Chappell Roan grew up in a very wealthy family. Her Papa Chappell, or her grandfather, Dennis Chappell, who she named herself after, was worth like over $100 million. And that doesn't make her any less talented, and that doesn't make her songs any less good, you know, but that just shows she was privileged enough to attend something like a Grammys camp where they had unlimited resources and all these connections that she could make in the industry. So it's pretty clear that fame and fortune were sort of her goal from a very early age. So fans wanting autographs and things like that is kind of what she signed up for. But the part in that video that really got me is when that guy says, "This is my first time seeing you," and she turns and says, "Then go away."
It's my
So
first time
this
to see
is,
you.
then go away.
Happy to see you.
So
But at the end of the day, she is asking them to leave her alone, and they are not. And I understand that that's frustrating. But at the same time, I feel like it probably took more energy to film a video putting them on blast than it would have just to sign something or just, I don't know, be nice, you know? Because I think she fails to understand that for these fans, seeing her in real life is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is their one chance to get an autograph or to get a photo of somebody that they love and that they want to support. But instead, she decides to shame them and say that they're harassing her really for no benefit. Like, she doesn't get anything out of that other than just not looking very likable.
If you think it's selfish of me to say no for a photo or for your time or for a hug, that's not normal. That's weird. I don't care that abuse and harassment, stalking, whatever, is a normal thing to do to people who are famous. It doesn't mean I want it. It doesn't mean that I like it. I don't want whatever the you think you're supposed to be entitled to whenever you see a celebrity.
So that's from 2024, and I wanted to show that because I think it shows her mentality when it comes to her fans. Now, obviously, asking for a hug might be a little over the line, but it just seems as though if somebody acknowledges her in public or asks for an autograph or photo, she sees that as harassment. And that's a little weird, but Again, she doesn't have to give attention to anybody if she doesn't want to. It's just refusing and making a scene out of it is just not a great look. So the next part of this story is a bit of a roller coaster, but I'm going to introduce everybody involved real quick. Just a heads up, we actually have heard from the bodyguard in this situation. And if you haven't heard this story, you will know who I'm talking about in just a second. And I'll tell you what he said once I've kind of set everything up and you know the story. First of all, we have Jude Law. Now, he is actually not involved in any of this, but when you look up the story, you'll hear his name a lot, but he's not actually involved. But Jude has a daughter who's around 11 or 12 named Ada with his ex-wife, Catherine Harding. Now, Catherine's husband and Ada's stepdad is a professional soccer player named Jorginho Frello, and I'm sure I butchered that and I apologize. But Jorginho made a post on Twitter saying that Catherine and Ada were staying in a hotel in Brazil getting ready for Lollapalooza, and this is what he had to say. I went through a very upsetting situation with my family earlier today. My wife, Catherine, is in Sao Paulo for Lollapalooza. This morning, my daughter woke up incredibly excited. She even made a sign because she was so happy to see an artist she really admires, or used to admire, Chappell Roan. By coincidence, they're staying at the same hotel as this artist. During breakfast, the artist walked past their table. My daughter, like any child, recognized her, got excited, and just wanted to make sure it was really her. And the worst part is she didn't even approach her. She simply walked past the singer's table, looked to confirm it was her, smiled, and went back to sit with her mom. She didn't say anything. She didn't ask for anything. What happened next was completely disproportionate. A large security guard came over to their table while they were still having breakfast and began speaking in an extremely aggressive manner to both my wife and my daughter, saying that she shouldn't allow my daughter to disrespect or harass other people. Honestly, I don't know at what point simply walking past a table and looking to see if someone is there can be considered harassment. He even said he would file a complaint against them with the hotel, while my 11-year-old daughter was sitting there in tears. My daughter was extremely shaken and cried a lot. I've lived with football, public exposure, and well-known people for many years, and I understand very well what respect and boundaries are. What happened there was not that. It was just a child admiring someone. It's sad to see this kind of treatment coming from those who should understand the importance of fans. At the end of the day, they are the ones who built all of this. I sincerely hope this serves as a moment of reflection. No one should have to go through this, especially not a child. At Chappell Roan, without your fans, you would be nothing, and to the fans, she does not deserve your affection. So, if that's true, that does not sound great, right? That's pretty messed up. But Chappell Roan did respond, so let's see what she had to say about it.
I'm just going to tell my half of the story of what happened today with a mother and child who were involved with a security guard who is not my personal security. I didn't even see a woman and a child. Like, no one came up to me. No one bothered me. Like, I was just sitting at breakfast in my hotel. I think these people were staying at the hotel as well. So the fact that, like, a security guard I did not ask the security guard to go up and talk to this mother and child. They did not come up to me. They weren't doing anything. It's unfair for security to just assume someone doesn't have good intentions when they have no reason to believe because there's no action even taken. Like, I do not hate people who are fans of my music. I do not hate children. Like, that is crazy. I'm sorry to the mother and child that someone was assuming something, that you would do something, and that if you felt uncomfortable, that makes me really sad. You did not deserve that.
So, yeah, she claims that it was not her security guard and she had no idea what was going on and she had nothing to do with it. And real quick, I want to show you Catherine's response to this. But after that, I will tell you we do have some more information about the security guard, and I'll give you all that in just a second. But let's see what Catherine said in her response first.
A lot of people ask me, like, what actually happened and everything else. And I know that Chappell has responded saying that it wasn't that it wasn't her security and that she didn't do it. So 100% this security guard was not a security guard of the hotel. That's what I can say. He looks after artists. So I don't know if it was her personal security guard, but he was with her. So that is all I know. Did she send him to do it? Again, I don't know. Look, I would like to hope not, but at the same time, I think that you have a responsibility when you are a celebrity to make sure, I guess, that the people that work for you and that act on your behalf are acting on your behalf. So would he do that if he didn't have her authority to do so? I don't know. If he does, then obviously that's a big problem, because then he's representing her in a way that she doesn't want to be represented. So I think that's really important for her to notice and realize that's not correct. What happened, exactly as she said, she didn't notice anything or anyone because as my husband said, nothing happened. Literally, we were staying in the same hotel, we were at breakfast, and we noticed a girl walk past with long red hair, very curly, and I said to my daughter, "Oh, do you think that's Chappell Roan?" And she looked and she said, "Oh my God, Mum, do you think it's her?" And so she said, "I'm going to go and have a look outside." And she was sat just outside in the garden area, which we were also free to go into. The door was open. And so I went back to the table to sit and eat, and my daughter walked through the door. She didn't have her phone. She didn't try to take a picture. She didn't approach her. She literally didn't do anything. She just looked at her and smiled. And she came back and she actually said to me, "Mum, I don't know if it's her." Because obviously she looks like, with her costumes and everything, she looks a little bit different. So my daughter said, "Oh my gosh, I'm not sure if it was her. I think it was her, Mum. It really, really looks like her, but I don't know. Maybe it's her sister." She said, "Maybe it's her sister." And I said, "Oh, I don't know, darling." And that was it. We continued our breakfast. And from that, then came the security guard, who, as my husband said, had a very aggressive tone. And I feel like if she did not send him, even if she did send him or she didn't send him, I don't know. For me, I feel like it really overstepped a boundary, because he is very large. So for him to come over to a table with just a woman and her daughter eating breakfast, to kind of like berate and scold us and say that he was going to complain and tell me that I should be teaching my daughter to be better and that she's badly educated and we should respect people's privacy and we should not harass people and all of these other things. And I did actually say to him at the time, I said, well, if this is the case that she doesn't even want people to look at her, she is very welcome to eat breakfast in her room, because this here is a public area and I am a paying guest as well as her. So if I want to walk past someone's table and look at them, I have every right to do so. I am not approaching her. I'm not doing anything to make her feel intimidated or nothing. Like, this 11-year-old child.
So the bodyguard in question is not Chappell Roan's normal security guard. It's not the guy you would normally see with her. His name is Pascal Duvier, and apparently he has a bit of a history of, just kind of being a dingus, because he was the security guard in charge of the Kardashians when Kim had that big jewel heist where somebody stole $10 million from her. So that doesn't look great if you're the security guard when that happens. So actually, here in the last couple of hours, the security guard has spoken up and takes full responsibility for it. But let me read it for you, and then we'll talk about it. It says, "I do not normally address online rumors, but the accusations currently circulating are false and constitute defamation." For a public figure, not really. But anyway, it says, "I take full responsibility for the interactions on March 21st. I was at the hotel on behalf of another individual, and I was not part of the personal security team of Chappell Roan. The actions I took were not on behalf of Chappell Roan, her personal security team, her management, or any other individuals. I made a judgment call based on information we obtained from the hotel, events I had witnessed in the days prior, and the heightened overall security risk of our location. An 11-year-old girl. My sole interaction with the mother was calm and with good intentions, and the outcome of the encounter is regretful. That just sounds like such BS to me. He says a heightened risk, a heightened security risk from a little girl smiling at Chappell Roan. Really, bro? What this sounds like to me is somebody on Chappell's team was like, you need to take responsibility for this. I mean, maybe he did, but if he did, if this is real, he is a fucking idiot. That he would be working for somebody else, see a tiny little girl walk by Chappell Roan and smile, and decide to go berate the kid enough to make her cry. That doesn't make any sense to me. So either he's full of crap or he is the dumbest bodyguard that has ever lived, because that's just so stupid. And then, of course, he says that his sole interaction with the mother was calm and with good intentions. Now, this whole thing is he said, she said, but Catherine made it very clear that he was aggressive and made her daughter cry. Now, that doesn't sound very calm and with good intentions, but maybe he just has an aggressive aura, you know, an aggressive vibe about him. I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to take this and say, I think Chappell Roan forced him to say this crap because it really doesn't make any sense. I mean, we'll never really know the truth. And in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? No. I mean, like everything else I talk about, it's just a nothing burger. And it's not going to affect her career. I know a lot of people are saying she's being canceled and stuff like that, but she'll be fine. But this is just such a stupid statement that I just can't wrap my head around it. However, another bit of a problem sort of arises because this wouldn't have been the first time that she sent her security guard over to intimidate someone for basically just looking at her. Shortly after the hotel incident, somebody found this clip where she's walking through the airport and somebody's just filming her. I mean, they are filming her, but they're not bothering her. They're not asking for an autograph. And with a subtle little signal to her bodyguard that looks pretty practiced to me, she sends him over there to intimidate them and to try to get them to stop filming. And again, it takes far more energy and just looks so much worse to do that than it would just to give a little wave or something, you know, or just ignore them. I don't know. When you see something like this, it's pretty clear she does not want to be famous. And maybe she didn't really understand what she was asking for when she spent all that time trying to become famous. So one thing that happened that I really don't agree with at all is the mayor of Rio de Janeiro called for Chappell Roan to be banned from performing at Todo Mundo no Rio following the incident. And he tweeted, I mean that as long as I'm in charge of our city, this young lady, Chappell Roan, will never perform at Todo Mundo no Rio. I doubt that Shakira would do that. By the way, Jorginho, the soccer player, your little one is already a guest of honor from the organization in May. Now, I don't know if she was already scheduled to be in the Todo Mundo no Rio, but this is too much, right? Even if Chappell Roan actually did send her security guard over to do that, like, yeah, that sucks. And there's a lot of video evidence that she's not great with fans when it's just out in public, but it's not that deep, bro. Like, it is not bad enough to be banned because there are people that do far worse than that are still performing all kinds of places. I mean, from what I can tell, Chris Brown is still selling out stadiums. And I bet you he is not banned from Rio de Janeiro. And that dude is maybe one of the biggest pieces of shit ever. So, I mean, let's just slow it down a little bit. Mayor of Rio de Janeiro, like, chill. And I have also seen videos of Chappell Roan being nice to fans. But from what I can tell, pretty much every video I've seen where you see her like interacting in a nice way with fans, it seems to be in a controlled environment, right? Like at an event or after a concert or whatever, where it seems like she has given them permission to see her. And it's not like in public. like in the airport or walking down the street or whatever. Some people are saying that this is sort of a targeted smear campaign directed at Chappell Roan. And I do think that a lot of this is being blown out of proportion, like the mayor banning her from the music festival. But I think if they were going to target someone specifically, I would think a much more effective target would be somebody like Billie Eilish or Olivia Rodrigo. But maybe they just don't have anything to smear, right? I don't think they have footage of them like shaming fans for wanting an autograph and stuff like that. And speaking of Olivia Rodrigo, generally speaking, if you see her in public and a fan comes up to her, she just takes a second and is nice to him. She's a good example of how to handle those situations because she seems appreciative. Like, that's really all fans want, is just to feel appreciated. And again, it's that once in a lifetime opportunity, and she gives that to them and makes their day. So I don't think it's like a targeted smear campaign directed at Chappell Roan. I just think it was a series of events that sort of coincided for the most part. You had the Paris Fashion Week incident, if you will, and then this hotel thing comes out and people are like, well, it wouldn't be the first time, you know? And then a couple of years ago when she basically said, my fans asking for autographs are harassing me. So it's sort of a pattern of her just not seeming to appreciate her fans. And again, it's just not a great look. But at the end of the day, she can treat her fans however she wants. She is not obligated to give autographs or to give photos or anything like that. However, I just don't think she understands that that sort of comes with the territory. And that's what she has wanted her whole life. She very clearly wanted to be famous from a very young age. So do I think she's a monster? No. And do I believe that she sent her security guard over to berate that little girl? I mean, she says no. He says it's all his fault, even though that statement was really sketchy and stupid. I mean, obviously, we'll never know for sure, but I'm going to guess that she did not assume he would go over and make her cry. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think she said, hey, go make that little girl cry, but I wouldn't be surprised if she said, hey, tell her to leave me alone or something like that. So I don't think she hates little kids, and I don't think she would intentionally make a little kid cry. I just don't think she appreciates her fans all that much, and that is what it is, like, whatever. But I think there are some people that are kind of feeling lied to right now because she's sort of always hinted that she came from humble beginnings and that she's sort of a rags to riches story, but that is just not the case. The truth is starting to come out that she isn't what I would call an industry plant, but she certainly was able to use privilege to get to where she is. And I think people are tired of supporting people that already have privilege. They're kind of tired of making the rich richer. And I think people are really wanting to back artists that are actual rags to riches stories or just kind of the underdog. So then come to find out that's not Chappell Roan. I think a lot of people are sort of feeling not betrayed, but just kind of like, well, that sucks. I really thought I was on the side of the underdog, you know? So I think in the grand scheme of things, like I said, this is a nothing burger. It is not going to ruin her career. I think she will be just fine. I think her fans will just sort of start realizing that she's just not the type that wants to be seen in public. And, you know, I mean, it's worked for J-Lo and Mariah Carey, and I would argue Ariana Grande, you know, people that you would consider divas. I think we can put Chappell Roan into the diva category, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, she makes bangers. So I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.